Hey guys, welcome to my channel Joe Boy Techie. Hope you all are doing fine. And this is another hyped smartphone of this quarter, the Poco X3 Pro. This is the 8GB 128GB model that is priced at 20,999. There's a 6GB RAM model as well that is priced at 18,999. And this smartphone is finally available to buy on Flipkart. So for those who are looking to buy the Poco X3 Pro, just go ahead and buy it. I actually just gave my final verdict. Now before I start this video, I want to tell you guys that this is not a complete review of the smartphone, but just my honest opinion on some of the key features. Like for example, those features that we use on a day-to-day basis. So does the smartphone live up to the hype? Let's find out. So inside the box you get the smartphone itself with a screen guard installed, a transparent case, USB Type-C charging cable, and a 33-watt charging brick, the same as you get with the Redmi Note 10. So in terms of specifications, you get a Snapdragon 860 chipset, 6GB and 8GB RAM options, 128GB internal storage along with micro SD card memory expansion up to 1TB, 6.6 inches Full HD Plus LCD display with a refresh rate of 120Hz, 5160 mAh battery with 33-watt fast charging capabilities, Android 11 out of the box, dual SIM support, out of which one is a hybrid SIM slot, 48 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro, 2 megapixel depth sensor, and a 20 megapixel front camera. So on the front you get Gorilla Glass 6 protection, on the back it's plastic, but it has this matte finish across the sides and glossy in the middle, which kind of feels refreshing instead of a simple plain finish. The triple camera setup on the top, and it is rounded, almost similar to the Poco X3, and the camera bump I can say is just okay. Is not protruding out that much, but fair enough. On the side you get the volume buttons along with the power button that also acts as a fingerprint scanner. On the left you get the SIM tray that supports dual SIM or a single SIM and an SD card for expandable storage up to 1TB. On the bottom you get a 3.5mm slot, USB Type-C charging slot, a microphone and dual speakers, one ear and the other ear. You even get a tiny notification LED that is embedded inside the speakers. Noise cancelling microphone on the top and infrared that you can also use as a remote control for some appliances at home. The phone feels comfortable to hold in the hand, but it is definitely on the heavier side as it weighs more than 200 grams. But this is not the heaviest smartphone in the world, and I'm ready to compromise on that, taking into consideration the chipset that is provided along with the price tag. In terms of display quality, I'll be honest, this is not one of the best LCD displays I've seen on a smartphone. Even the Oppo A53 had a better LCD panel than this, and I also noticed this dark faded vignette kind of effect around the corners of the smartphone, especially while using it in light mode. But this again can be ignored because this smartphone comes with a Full HD Plus resolution and a refresh rate of 120Hz, which can be brought down to 60Hz, and I know many people who do that to save battery life. You even get a Widevine L1 certification on this, which means HD content is definitely viewable, and I did not have any issues viewing content on the Poco X3 Pro. You can view Full HD videos on both Netflix and Amazon Prime, no issues with that. You do not get support for HDR while watching content, and I think that is kind of okay, because according to me, I think that HDR on smartphones does not do a good job, especially in low light scenarios. Browsing through social media also felt great, and that 120Hz refresh rate just adds up to the experience. However, the overall brightness of the smartphone is something that I did not like. You only get the best of it when you bump up the brightness to 70% or above. But outdoor visibility was not an issue even with dark mode enabled. The Poco X3 Pro comes with the Snapdragon 860 chipset, and this is the key highlight of this smartphone, taking into consideration the price point. There is no need for me to run any benchmark scores, as you all know how capable this chipset can be. Now I played my favorite game, that is Mortal Kombat, on the smartphone, and I noticed that whenever I used to play it on my S10 Plus, I noticed a lot of frame drops and battery drain issues as well. But that was not the case with the Poco X3 Pro. Now I did notice a little bit of frame drops, but that was maybe because I just installed the game and it was generating the cache files. Now this is a very graphic heavy game, but still the Poco X3 Pro did a fantastic job, and it drained only 6% of battery in 30 minutes of gameplay in comparison to my S10 Plus, where it used to drain nearly 20% of battery in half an hour of gameplay. I also played Call of Duty at its highest graphics settings. The game worked quite smooth. A little frame drops were noticed, but those were very minimum, and I did not face any major heating issues as well. The phone was quick to cool down. The only drawback here is that if you are a gamer who is also into visuals, then this display is not the best to have. But otherwise everything else is worth it. In terms of RAM management, I think the Poco X3 Pro does a fantastic job. The RAM along with UFS 3.1 storage enables smooth running of apps and games. But I did notice a little bit of lag when I was scrolling through social media apps and switching from one app to another. But that is something that you can notice even on flagship level smartphones. Overall, in terms of hardware, the Poco X3 Pro is perfectly optimized. Now, battery life is something that has to go hand in hand with the hardware of the smartphone. And the Poco X3 Pro definitely makes sure of that. You get a 5160 mAh battery capacity on this, which could take you for an entire day, and you could still have some juice left. But that is excluding gaming. If you are a gamer, then maybe you would have to charge this phone 2 times a day. You get a 33-watt charging brick with this, which I think does an amazing job and is also very underrated. 65 watt is definitely the best, but 33 watt is also something that can keep you going. The camera also did well, although I did not keep any high expectations from this. You get Pro mode for video where you can shoot up to 4K 30fps, and 60fps is limited to 1080p. You even get portrait mode, and trust me, the edge detection was not that great. But other than that, the camera did well in broad daylight, no focus issues, and no oversaturation of colors as well. Here are some samples that I clicked. Now in terms of connectivity, you do not get support for 5G, but we can leave that aside for now. Wi-Fi calling worked fine, even speed tests showed better results than on my S10 Plus, and there were no network fluctuations as well. And in terms of Wi-Fi, this has Wi-Fi 5 technology. I just wish that this had Wi-Fi 6, and trust me guys, there's a huge difference between the two. You get Bluetooth 5.0, and this surprisingly comes with support for LDAC, which is great. So my final verdict is that the Poco X3 Pro is definitely a good pick if you are looking for a smartphone for gaming at a budget price. I'm saying if because there are some aspects of the smartphone that could definitely disappoint you, like for example the display. Especially if you're a person who has been using an AMOLED display, you could definitely notice the differences. But as I said in the past, that can be ignored. This smartphone is actually built for gaming and just gaming. So my overall rating for the Poco X3 Pro would be 4 out of 5. Guys, if you like this video or you found it informative, then hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Stay safe, take care of yourself till then. See you next time.